So I was finally able to get EX++, so I wanted to share that team with you and kind of go over some other teams I've been using for this new part of the game. Now, one of the biggest things about this is actually the passive tree. I was able to rush to floor 60 on the first day, and from there I was able to collect a lot of that AFK rewards that let you increase your passive tree. That makes such a huge difference. So for my bossing teams, like every 5 floors or 10 floors you have to fight a boss, I've been using the Ta strat, which I talked about in one of my previous videos. And you basically just stack on additional hits to your assist. So that would come from Mateo and Ta, and I've been able to use that same strategy to clear all the way up to floor 100. So as you can see, it works out really, really well, and has given me a pretty smooth transition. That being said, I am stuck at floor 110 right now. Now, on all those in-between floors, this is the team I've been using. Basically, you lock them down and you deal some like percentage-based damage. I use Pandora, but later on you might actually want to use Kara because poison tends to be pretty useful, especially against there's a certain minion that you fight that you can't put Pandora's box onto. So that's just a good strategy to go with. So I guess we're going to talk about the main team, which is this one, and I cannot stress the importance of Mateo. I built my crit because he's going to be cycling through his turns a lot, and so you just want to make sure he has max crit so that he always hits hard. And you kind of want to do the same thing with the bird, the Vermilion bird. You want her to always be able to crit because she's going to be carrying a lot of the damage of this team. Now we're using the twins mostly because they're debuffs and the fact that they give you crit rate up and speed up. And that speed up, the R6 twin, the white twin, is so huge. And of course we use Ahmed for our healing because his healing also gives us like passively more damage. And it's this combination which really does a lot. I'll go over it more as we see the fight progress, but you'll see what I mean. So to me, Mateo is essentially irreplaceable because not only does he give you like one of the strongest speed leads in the game, which is very crucial getting your early damage in the fight, he has passive that allows him to apply the spark. Means that whenever you crit an enemy, you do additional damage, which is nice, but more importantly, it moves Mateo's gauge further ahead. And that means you're going to be able to lock down the boss more often. And I really don't think there's an adequate substitute for him. Maybe later, when the passive trees gets fully unlocked, then you won't need him. But he brings so much. I just couldn't see doing all of this or getting a high score without him. Now, the other Esper that I think is quite exceptional is actually Ahmed. And the reason why is not only does he have the Imprisoner bonus, like so that way he can play double blockade stacks on the boss, but his ability to increase your attack and like your damage is just with his passive is really insane, to be honest. You'll see as the damage stacks up, or as his buff stacks up, the damage will increase significantly. Now, if you're asking why am I using Vermilion Bird instead of Lu Yi, well, it's actually pretty simple. Lu Yi is amazing. He does a crazy amount of single target. I would not be surprised if he can hit like 1,000,000 damage every time he does his last skill. But the problem with him is simply he applies too much bleed stacks. And the boss can only have so many debuffs. So what ends up happening is that you have a chance of having a debuff that's really crucial drop off. And that would be things like, your speed break, which you really can't afford to lose. And that's the reason why White Twin's so good, actually, is because they extend all the debuffs for additional turn, and that means that there's no downtime on the debuffs you apply. And that is unbelievably crucial to the run, because it's like such a long run. It takes forever to actually go through this. Now, you may be curious to see that I'm not using YC. And the reason why is because he simply just doesn't do enough damage. When you get to like round 3 with the boss and he does his last skill, my whole team just dies. And that basically means that I only have like a short window to do all the damage I need to do. And YC will hit for like 20,000, 30,000 on his passive hit, which is really nice, and getting those stacks is really nice. But for me, when Bird hits for like 500,000 on her ultimate, which pushes everyone gauges up, it's even more useful. So that would be the sole argument for that. Yeah, I think the Vermilion Bird is truly exceptional and definitely like more free to play friendly, which is nice since the team was already using two legendaries. So those of you who have been trying to get a high score on this know that it takes forever. So I'm going to speed it up, I'm going to kick on some music, and then I'll see you at the end. And there it is, finally, just barely got EX++. Please consider this team like a framework to build on. It's not, dead set to be the best team. It's probably not, but it is the team that I used. And if you have any comments or questions or would like to say what works for you, please leave them below. And if you like this video and like to see more, please subscribe. As always, thank you for watching.